Hello, classmates. So, tonight we're gonna learn about human resources management and human resources development, two different agencies that exist in any organization or any company that has the responsibility of creating a healthy work work environment. So that is a compression and a summarization of what these two are about. Now, disclaimer, I'm not a human resources manager nor had I had any experience with human resources in general. So, my understanding is very basic and very rudimentary. So, in to assist us and to enrich our discussion of these two agencies, I have furnished and asked for assistance from Eric Sabitsana, who is a human resource lead for more than 10 years in the BPO industry. And so currently, he is with i5 Global, which is part of our BPO industry. So he will be giving us examples of actual practices that exist in his company or in his previous company so that we can have an understanding of how these responsibilities are actually carried out in a corporate setting. Okay? So, just to give you sort of an idea of the flow of our discussion, I will be discussing some points and define them and probably give out a little bit of methods of how these responsibilities are carried out. And at the same time, I will be asking questions to Eric, and he'll be able to give us example. Now, human resources management, so we're gonna call it HRM, and human resources development, we're gonna call it HRD, are two closely related distinct functions within the field of human resources. So you can imagine this falls under human resources in general. So probably there are companies that have these two together in one umbrella of human resources and probably some companies would have just one, probably whether HRM or HRD. So let's look at human resources management to start with. So HRM focuses on the administrative and strategic aspects of managing an organization's workforce. So this is all about the workforce, the employees, of course, and the managers as well, right, or team leaders. So it involves activities such as recruitment, selection, training, performance, management, and compensation. So HRM is primarily concerned with ensuring that the organization has the right people with the right skills in the right positions. So you can imagine how big of a responsibility that is. They're playing the part of a scout almost, right? So the reason why they do this is because they need to achieve the company's goals or the organization's goals. So it is often seen as a more traditional and administrative function that deals with day-to-day operations related to personnel. So we're talking about, the keyword here is human resources. So we're talking about any staff or any human being that is employed inside the company. Now, I was told that HRM is more at present and current, so to speak, while HRD is more future and forward thinking. So their responsibilities in terms of timelines are different. So HRM, but both are crucial functions, right? So HRM is a crucial function within the organization. So it's dedicated right? So its responsibility and dedication is in the management and optimization of the workforce. So whoever is within the company, any like I said, any human being that is in the company, they are responsible for improving their performance, right, in general. So it encompasses a wide range of activities. So it's both strategic and administrative at the same time, both of which aim to effectively utilize the human being that is in the company. Because of course, in any company and organization, you have goals, right? You have missions and visions, right? Now let's look at the key responsibilities closely involving human resources management. So their first responsibility, which is very important, like I said, it's very current and very at present, which is the recruitment and selection. Like I said, they are like scouts, right? So recruitment or HRM involves the process of identifying the staffing needs of the organization or the company. So they are also tasked to attract qualified candidates. So we're talking about qualified. So sila yung naghahanap ng mga candidates or applicants na pasok doon sa pangangailangan ng kumpanya, right? And apart from that, they're also tasked with selecting the right individuals for the position. So it's not enough that you're qualified, for example. It's not enough that you're a college graduate, right? But say for example, the position involves proficiency in English, right? So kailangan hindi ka lang college graduate, kailangan magaling ka rin sa English, right? Because the position requires it, right? So this process includes the first two, which is the job analysis and writing job descriptions. Now, what is job analysis? So it is a systematic process of gathering, documenting, and analyzing information about a job, including its duties, responsibilities, required skills, like I said, qualifications, and the work environment. Now, its purpose, of course, obviously, is to help in understanding the nature of the job. So they would tell this to, they would understand first, ano bang kailangan nung kumpanya o nung department na to, for example, right? So yung department, meron silang requirement. So they would create that foundation, no, for an HR activity to be able to support that requirement, right? Tulad ng recruitment, selection, and or performance management. So one of the things that they do is do interviews with employees and supervisors, or they do direct observation of actual job tasks, for example, siyempre para malaman nila what is the sort of the micro and the macro specificity ng job that is needed, right? So they also do reviews of job-related documents and also do surveys. So for job analysis, let's ask Sir Eric, ano yung actual practices na ginagawa mo in your job?
Okay, usually when there's a need for a specific role, there's a meeting between recruitment and also with the hiring manager. Hiring manager meaning sino yung naghahanap ng ganong position regarding the specifics of the job at ano yung kailangan nila in terms of job skills. We also consider din yung budget nila. That's what we call yung cost per hire. And then kailan nila kailangan yung tao for that specific role. So it's a meeting and then it's documented and then that will be the basis for recruiting and hiring that person for that specific role.
So marami palang involved. So that brings us to the writing job description. So they also write, because of course after the analysis they have to write the description. So the job description basically is a document. It's a detailed document that outlines the duties, responsibilities, qualifications, and reporting relationships associated with the job. I think we've all been through this. We all have our job descriptions because all of us have experiences of being hired as an employee. So we signed documents or we were briefed by ano ba yung trabaho that we're gonna face, right? So a part of this job description, so a typical job description would include, of course, yung job title, a summary of your role and your key responsibilities, and of course the required qualifications like what's your educational attainment, or what is the required educational attainment, what are the experiences that is needed, what are the skills, technical skills or soft skills that is required of the job, and then your reporting relationships. Like, of course, you have to know who your superiors are or who your staff are, right? And sometimes there is an information about the company culture. So this was reported last meeting by Irish about the company culture, right? So very important also to understand what you're going in for, right? So what the company is for. Question po, Sir Eric, normally ba sinasabi talaga yung company culture? Like, how is it described in the job description?
So the company culture is not really part of the job description, but really more of educating the applicant as to what will be the culture or what is the current culture of the organization. Kasi hindi lang siya dapat job fit, kailangan din culture fit din yung applicant, because minsan even if the applicant is well skilled but in terms of culture magkaiba ng values, minsan nagkakaroon ng disconnect, and that is what we're trying to avoid. Kasi once you hire an employee, you're already spending money, may cost na kagad yon. So yun yung iniiwasan natin, and one of the things then that HRM is looking at would be yung turnover rate. Pag sinabi kasing turnover rate, ito yung pag na-hire mo, gaano ba katagal yan nag-stay sa company, and then papalitan ba kagad yan dahil nga may disconnect. So very important na we don't just describe or discuss the job description but also yung company culture and values.
So important na you stipulate everything in the job description, right?
Yes, that is right. Sabi ko nga, every movement ni HR when it comes to recruitment and hiring, merong cost yan, merong financial impact yan. And part of what HR does is also to mitigate the cost per hire.
Yung job description ba, is it almost like a contract? Like they have to sign the job description? Like, para siyang kontrata ba na kung ano lahat nakasulat doon, they have to be able to fulfill?
Yes, that is correct. Because part of their performance is fulfillment of those job description. Doon din naggagaling yung tinatawag natin na KPI or Key Performance Indicator or KRA, yung key results nung mga ginagawa nila. Now, doon din nagbabase kung if they're meeting the expectation, exceeding, or not meeting at all. So doon din nagbibase si HR kung anong steps ang gagawin niya to make sure that the employee is successful, or minsan doon din kinukuha ni HR if the employee is not for regularization dahil nga that person is not meeting the target or not meeting his KPIs.
So yun yung implication of not being able to fulfill yung job description. Kasi yun ang question ko eh. Ano mangyayari if the employee doesn't fulfill what is written on the job description? Anong scenario mangyayari?
So there are a few scenarios, pero ang important kasi dyan, once we hire an employee, is we need to be able to determine if this person is fit talaga or performing well. So doon pumapasok yung management side ng human resources. And kung hindi naman siya nagper-perform or hindi naman niya nagagawa yung responsibility niya, that can be also a reason for an employee not being regularized or being terminated. So it's very important talaga na meron talagang fit or yung fitness ng employee doon sa skills, sa responsibility, and also sa culture ni organization.
Was there ever a situation where yung employee that you hired um, barely, or let's just say kunyari kulang yung skills niya but acceptable naman, and then he or she became part of the company, then you realize parang medyo kulang pa ng konti yung skills niya? What is it that you do pag nangyari yun?
So pag skills kasi, dyan pumapasok yung training and development, kung saan we try to identify kung ano yung weakness ng employee, and then we try to correct through coaching, through training, to mentoring, and then kung talagang after all these steps or all these action plans didn't work and talagang si employee is not really fit to be regularized, then sadly we need to let go of an employee.
Okay, so that means that job description or writing a job description is very important because it will serve as a foundation for recruitment efforts, and of course it helps sets the performance expectations. So we're talking about expectation para the company or your immediate superior. They know what they're getting. They know what they're getting in you, right? So, and also the job description will provide clarity for both employee and managers. It's very important na your parameters is stipulated, right? Tama po ba?
Yes, that's correct. And also, just to note lang din and to reiterate that job description is part of the contract that the employee will sign. So, importante talaga yon na clear yung job description, very specific, para walang confusion once the employee is already onboarded.
So part siya ng kontrata. So it's not yet the contract.
It is part of the contract. Pag ready na tayong mag-offer ng job dun sa employee, kasama yun dun sa contract. But also one thing then to reiterate that job description of that specific role is also part din siya ng recruitment. So halimbawa kung mag-hire tayo using JobStreet or LinkedIn, nilalagay natin doon yun para alam din ng employee what he or she is getting into.
Speaking of job postings, right? So another of the HRM's responsibility is posting job openings. So job openings, so they are the ones tasked and responsible for spreading the word that they are hiring, right? So job openings are typically posted through different channels, various channels. I think LinkedIn is one of the more prominent ones when it comes to job postings, including company websites sometimes, or online job boards, social media platforms, and professional networks. So sometimes diba i-refer ka because you have this network. I think that's what LinkedIn is good at, connecting you to create that net of people, professionals that you can be referred to. And sometimes I know specifically, I don't know, Sir Eric, if this happens na companies would sometimes find apart from posting the job, diba, I've heard that through LinkedIn you are also found, candidates are also found. Tama po ba yon?
Yeah, that's right. Because right now, especially for professionals, LinkedIn is one of our major source for recruitment. Especially that LinkedIn members can actually update their status whether they are hiring or looking for a job. So once you update your status in LinkedIn that you are looking for a job, recruiters can see your profile. And they can see that you are looking for, you're in the market for a new employment. So it's also very important that we choose proper channels in terms of attracting talents. So Just lang din to add, one of the most important, I think, and most relevant way of attracting talent is what we call employee referral program, where, an employee could recommend or refer their friends or their family members to the company. Why we're using this is because sa employee pa lang who refers a friend or a family member, na-filter na kagad nila na, may hiring kami, these are the requirements, siguro pwede dito tong friend ko. So that is also a very important sourcing channels in an organization. And a lot of BPO companies, and not just BPO but also traditional companies, also uses this.
So parang yung mga employees, existing employees din, parang in a way para silang minions ng human resources.
Right, that's correct. And also in most BPO, no, pag nag-refer ka ng friends or kakilala, and then that person was successfully hired, the referee also get parang monetary bonus.
Uy, that's nice. Parang para siyang coupon system. So these job postings, no, that they do, they include, of course, what was mentioned a while ago, yung job description. Siyempre, and how to apply, like the instructions how to apply, and the process of the details about the application process. Now, the goal is to reach a wide pool of qualified candidates, and of course, to attract them. So that when they find them, of course, that doesn't stop there. They have to be able to align with the organization's values. So just like LinkedIn, so parang sa LinkedIn, no, almost parang reversed. The effort is minimized na kasi nandun na yung mga professionals, right? Tama ba?
Oo, nandun na. Minimize na siya. Pero again, may pros and cons din for every sourcing platform. So, din naman sa LinkedIn, ang experience ko naman dyan, it's a little bit expensive naman for the recruiter once we sign up as a recruiter profile. So may bayad din doon. Kaya syempre binabalanse lang din natin. Especially sa LinkedIn, ang experience ko, mas mahal if we are looking for someone who is bilingual. Mahal ang bayad ni company kay LinkedIn.
Ano pang mga sites that is valuable in recruiting or in posting job openings?
Siyempre yung Facebook, we have Facebook Workplace, that is also very important din in terms of sourcing. Pero ang naman namin sa Facebook, si Facebook kasi mas mura siya, pero the success rate of hiring someone from Facebook is not as successful as compared to LinkedIn and also JobStreet. Si JobStreet naman din kasi maganda yung pool ng mga applicants sa JobStreet, pero JobStreet is also one of the most expensive sourcing platform, especially for recruitment. So may mga pros and cons pa rin. Kaya kami, we really market our employee referral program kasi number one, mas marami kaming na-hire based on employee referral, and number two, when it comes to cost, mas mura kasi yon as compared to hiring someone from JobStreet and also from LinkedIn. And also to add lang, no, there's also what we call mga headhunters. Ito yung mga independent companies who would look for a specific person for a very niche role. Maganda yung success, mataas yung success rate when we go with a headhunter, kaya lang they're very expensive, especially for roles that are very niche, yung mga director level din, yung mga high ranking personnel. Magaling din silang maghanap nun, kaya lang they're very expensive. Kasi ang standard when we go with a headhunter, no, kung magkano yung monthly salary nila, yun yung fee na sisingin nila sa'yo for hiring that person. So, kung mga director level, usually nag-range yan mga 300 to up to 1 million per month. Just imagine, pag na-hire yung isa, yung employee na yon, we have to pay the headhunter 1 million pesos for that person lang. Kaya very expensive naman sila. Kaya may mga pros and cons. We just need to be strategic pagdating sa recruiting a specific role or person.
And so after the job opening, and then they've already shortlisted their applicants, they step into part of the recruitment and selection. Of course, they do interviews, right? So before the interview, they thoroughly review the resume and the job description. So they probably try to look at the past experiences that is written on the resume, and of course ano yung job description, and try to match it. So probably among, like say for example, 100 applicants, they have to do it really well. They have to evaluate it. So that's really taxing, no? Now there are types of interviews. So probably Sir Eric can give us sort of the differences between the interviews. But before that, during the interview, the assessor or the interviewer evaluates the qualifications, like I said. So they also look at, in the resume, they look at the skills, they look at the communication abilities, they look at the cultural fit, like that was mentioned a while ago, if they're gonna fit in the company culture, right? And of course, the overall suitability of the position. Now, I was told that there is a legal consideration when conducting an interview, that they must adhere to equal employment opportunity laws and avoid discriminatory practices. So, bawal mag-discriminate. Everybody has an equal chance of being employed in that company. Now, about the interview, there are 3 types of interviews. So, behavioral, situational, and competency based. So, Sir Eric, can you give us the differences and what actually happens in the 3 different interviews?
Alright. So sa competency base, usually nangyayari to muna sa, ito yung first level. I-check muna natin kung yung skill mo nagmamatch. So katulad ng English assessment, halimbawa sa mga BPO, nangyayari muna to doon sa, ito muna yung inuuna, kung maayos ba siyang magsalita or that person is fluent in English. Now pagdating sa behavioral, ito naman yung mga tinatanong when it comes to their past. Ito yung may tinatawag tayong STAR, yung specifics, ano yung task, ano yung action, at ano yung result. So, STAR yon. So, parang sasabihin sa'yo, provide a specific situation where you had to deal with a difficult employee, and what did you do to manage that situation. So, ano yung specifics, ano yung task mo, ano yung ginawa mo, at ano yung result. Now, pagdating sa situation, ito naman yung parang hypothetical question. So, for example, there's an employee who stole something from you, ganyan, or from another employee. What will you do? What are your action plans? So, yun yung mga hypothetical. So, this is where we measure kung ano yung values ng employee, ano yung skills ni employee, at ano yung behavior niya when faced with a certain situation.
Wow. Okay. So, after the interview, after they've assessed and evaluated, now they have to make a decision. So, after the interview, they evaluate, of course, the performance during the interview. Follow-up question, meron po bang exam sometimes?
Yeah, sometimes, especially pag technical yung role. For example, an IT person, we're looking for an IT specialist. So, may mga specific requirements yun na we need to consider when hiring someone. So, usually may mga exams yun, mga basic exam that applicant needs to take para lang malaman natin kung kaya ba niya yung basic task for that specific role.
And then of course, meron pong predetermined criteria. So that's what they do. So after they've interviewed, of course, I think during the interview, no, chine-check nyo na yung criteria if they fall into the criteria. Tama, di ba?
Yes, kaya dyan din pumapasok yung importance ng job description. Kasi yun ang nagiging basis namin whether that person is a yes or a no.
Okay, so I also learned that in order to make the final hiring decision, no, it's not just in the HRM, because this decision involves multiple stakeholder collaboration with the stakeholders, of course, the department managers, the HR representatives, of course, and sometimes team members or probably the people that they're gonna have a relationship with in the job. And then they also do background check. So before the final decision, they must conduct a reference check, right? And background check. So of course, to verify the candidate's qualifications and work history. Now, ano po ba, what are some of the strangest background checks that you have experienced? Ano yung mga, it was written on the resume probably, tas biglang when you did the background check, hindi pala totoo. Were there, may mga ganun ba?
Yes, there were instances na they would declare na halimbawa for the background check kasi important to note na may mga specifics lang doon na tinatanong natin kasi nga for data privacy. Number 1, yung role nila, hire date and separation date, yun lang yung, and also the reason for being separated. Yun yung 4 na major questions or information that we are looking for when doing a background check. So syempre hindi naman tayo makakapag-perform ng background check without the consent of the applicant. That's very important kasi nga data privacy. So pag wala yung consent ni applicant, hindi tayo makakuha ng information, or as a company hindi rin tayo makakapagbigay ng information for our former employee who's applying for a job in another company. So that's very important.
And so after the background checks and then the decision is made through the collaboration, the candidate is chosen. And then dito papasok yung, this is where the job offer is given, which includes details about the position, the compensation and benefits. Of course, what are you getting with this job, right? And of course, other relevant terms. Sir, ano po ba yung, what is a job offer? Can you give us an idea? Ano po bang job offer?
So basically yung diniscuss mo kanina, yung ano yung job description, ano yung agreement, or ano yung mga compensation for that role. So offer siya kasi there are instances na tapos na lahat ng interview, pumasa ka na sa interview, but then again during the job offer the applicant will not accept the offer for different reasons. Mostly ang nangyayari dyan would be pagdating dun sa compensation and benefits. So it's also it's also one of the things, and it's very important that when we request for a specific employee for that specific role, dapat kinukonsider din natin yung industry standards when it comes to compensation and benefits. So, it's another discussion din.
Yeah, kasi I think I'm familiar with salary tranche. So, I think there is a government matrix that also stipulates how much someone is paid, no? And then another strange thing, no? Sometimes you communicate with yung candidates that were not, or candidates who were unqualified, or candidates who were not accepted. Bakit may ganon? Why do you have to speak to the unqualified candidates?
Kasi isa siguro when it comes to yung pool of applicants, no, a no, when we say no for an applicant now, it's not necessarily a no forever. So ibig sabihin ngayon maaring hindi ka matanggap because of siguro yung skill set, pero kasi minsan nire-recycle namin yung leads Kung ngayon hindi ka pa tinatanggap, maaring in the next 6 months may magbago sa career mo or may madagdag dun sa resume mo that will allow you to be qualified for that specific role. So isa din yan sa tinitingnan namin. So it's also very important that if the applicant didn't pass the selection process, we also provide feedback.
So parang para kang naka-active file.
Yes.
So parang yun yung consuelo dun sa...
Yes.
Okay, so after being offered being given a job offer, the next step is to orient and onboard the employee. So now you're an employee, you're no longer a candidate. When you sign the job offer or the contract, you're already part of the company. So the first thing that you need to understand is the company culture, right? So this is where the HRM introduces the company culture in an orientation or seminar. So this includes conveying the organization's mission, vision, yung values, and then the overall work environment, probably yung mga do's and don'ts. And so in this stage, it's important to understand, of course, what the company is about. Because it will help you as an employee integrate quickly and align with the entire organization. So, ano po ba, what else happens in a briefing, or ano po bang tawag doon when you're introducing the job, the company culture?
So other companies will call them NEO or New Employee Orientation, or in other companies they call it NHO or New Hire Orientation. Tama ka, this is where we discuss the culture and values of the company, and not just that but also the history of the company, kasi dito mo i-introduce ngayon si company kay employee. It's also very important that HR discusses the code of discipline during their day 1, or sometimes they call it day 0, para lang din to avoid then the employee making, doing things that are not aligned to the code of discipline, kasi maaring yung action na yun, may it be small, maari din kasing it's a violation of the code of discipline. Katulad na lang ng tardiness. Minsan, yung 1 minute na malate ka sa ibang company, parang okay lang. But in the BPO settings kasi, a minute late is, it's considered one instance of tardiness. So, maaring, pag maraming beses kang nalilate, maaring yun ang maging reason mo for being terminated. So, it's important really to discuss that with the employee.
So, in this onboarding, it also involves job training. So, meron din training. So, job training is the process of equipping new employees with skills and knowledge needed to perform their specific roles. Now, proper job training sets the foundation for employee success because it also boosts confidence and productivity. But kailangan pa ng job training when they're already qualified? You already hired them kasi they're qualified. They have the skills, they have the qualification. Bakit kailangan pa ng job training?
Yeah, kasi minsan the job yung hiring process kasi yun yung parang what we're looking for would be yung foundational skills na employee. Now, for the job training, this is very important kasi maari kasing pare-pareho tayong agent pero magkakaiba tayo ng clients na we are supporting. So the job training, dito ngayon pumapasok yung mga client specifics training that dapat alam ni employee, especially when that person is already handed over to their managers or their supervisors or to the account or department that they will need to be supporting.
Okay, so also part of the orientation and onboarding is the administrative processes. So other orientation also covers administrative tasks such as completing paperwork, syempre may paperwork, understanding of course the company policies, so it's like the do's and don'ts of the company. And of course, you as an employee need to familiarize yourself with the benefits of being in the company. Syempre may benefits, reason why you signed the contract, right? And of course, other organizational procedures. Now, it is important this process is very important because it streamlines the processes during the orientation. So there's nothing, all the stones have been turned. So para you have no excuse of violating them, right? Kailangan alam mo as an employee para you know how to work around the policies and regulations of the company. And then next is the integration into the teams. I think this is when you are handed to your team na, right? Kasi I think if I'm not mistaken, yung introduction of company culture, job training, administrative process, very general sa lahat ng bagong employee, di ba? Pero dun sa integration of the team, ito na yung specific dun sa actual division or department that you're gonna be working in or working with, right? So you need to be integrated into the team, and this involves syempre pleasantries, di ba? Yung hi and hello to the team members, to the stakeholders sometimes, so that it fosters para you feel you belong, right? This is when bonds are made, right? So team integration helps in building relationships, especially if you're a new employee, because this integration makes you feel supported or gives you sort of an idea of how collaborative the team is. Paano po ba ang nangyayari yung integration?
So usually kasi nangyayari to once they pass the training. Kasi minsan may mga employee na training pa lang, hindi na sila pumapasa. Kasi everything kasi is being measured. Meron tayong mga KPIs, especially during training. Ngayon, pag natapos na yung training, in other companies, may mga ceremonial pa sila. We call it graduation, in which they're done with the training and then we're handing them over to their specific teams. So, may mga ceremonial yun. This is really more of an employee engagement,
Ano yung mga ceremonies?
Halimbawa, para kaming merong graduation ceremony, may handing over of certificates, tas minsan pa, the company also provides like a lunch for the entire team pag nakagraduate na sila, tapos kasama nila yung magiging bagong team mga bagong supervisors sila and managers. So para lang din talaga ma-foster yung bond nila with the new team that they will be handed over to.
So parang social event na rin.
Oo, parang social.
So next, after you've been integrated to the team, of course, you're actually already working. So this is where performance management steps in. So HRM oversees the performance appraisal process. Kasi they need to see if you are performing the job that were hired for. So they provide feedback to the employees about their performance, and they facilitate discussions about future career development. So this involves setting performance expectations. Now this is not a surprise kasi you've already signed the job offer. So you as an employee aware ka kung anong kailangan mong gawin, right? So they also conduct performance reviews and also establish the goals and objectives for employees. So parang sometimes they remind the employee of this is the objective, or your immediate superior, they would tell you, this is this is our goal for this month or this year, right? And then so paano, Sir Eric, paano kinokonduct ang performance management?
So very important when we talk about performance is there's a monthly performance review. So every month, si supervisor at saka si employee will have that performance review to identify kung ano yung strengths niya, ano yung weaknesses niya, at ano yung pwedeng gawin ni organization to address those weaknesses. In other companies, minsan may tinatawag pang third month performance review para lang din malaman kung after 6 months, pasado sila to be regularized. Kasi ang goal naman natin for new employees is to be regularized. Kaya ginagawa yon. So, unfortunately, not every company does this, pero best practice pa rin talaga is meron tayong monthly performance review. Ang involved dito would be the employee and also yung manager or supervisor niya.
I see. And this brings us to one of the most important things, which is compensation and benefits. Now, I understand there is a different division of HRM for this because we're talking about accounting, right? So, HRM is responsible for designing and administering compensation and benefit programs. Of course, to attract the retention of the employee. Of course, right? Diba? I think as Sir Eric mentioned a while ago, no, may mga iba na they do not sign the job offer because of the compensation and benefits. So kung mababa or kung mataas, swerte ka, right? Pero kung mababa, probably you wouldn't sign it, right? So this is a completely separate division that sort of computes everything, no? So they would compute or they would establish the salary structure, of course, ano yung bonuses, ano yung health insurance mo or yung HMO, right? Ano yung retirement plan if you intend to stay long in the company or those who are probably mga matagal na sa company. And of course, ano ba yung other perks? Ano ba yung mga other perks? Ano ba mga perks ng compensation and benefit?
Okay, before we go there, it's important to discuss na may dalawang klase kasi yan. Yung tinatawag na government-mandated benefits, ito yung mga SSS, Pag-ibig, PhilHealth, may mga maternity benefits, paternity, single parent. So maraming mga government-mandated benefits. Now, yung company-initiated benefits, depende yan sa company. May mga iba na talagang maganda yung benefits na ino-offer niya. Halimbawa, sa HMO, hindi lang yung empleyado ang covered, pati din yung asawa nila at saka anak nila, libre yon. Meron din ibang company who would offer not just their 13th month pay, may mga 14th and 15th month pay pa na i-offer sa mga employee. Tapos meron din syempre yung meron din silang performance bonus in other companies every 3 months. If you're passing your KPIs, binibigyan ka ng bonus based on your score for the 3rd month. So it really depends on the company and syempre yung budget for it. Kaya very important talaga na maganda yung company mandated benefits natin na ino-offer natin kay employee, but syempre it has to be sensible and logical.
My question is also, have you in your experience, does it always guarantee retention if maganda ang compensation benefit?
Yeah, based on my experience, yes, it's very important kasi part of what we do as HR is also yung tinatawag na exit interview. Dito natin malalaman kung bakit ba umaalis si employee, lumalabas dito. So may mga different reasons yan. Pero based sa experience ko, most of the time the employee would resign from the company because of may better offer.
So kasi mababa yung sweldo.
Hindi lang sa sweldo but also yung overall compensation and benefits package na employee. Kasi kung halimbawa si company A would offer yung health insurance for the employee only, tapos may ibang company hindi lang yung sa employee but also yung asawa niya, yung magulang niya, yung mga anak niya i-cover na libre. So malaking bagay yon for that employee. Sa example lang naman yun.
Okay, so after that, this is all part of also the key responsibilities of HRM is employee relations. So I think na-mention a while ago yung social engagement after the onboarding. So employee relations of HRM plays a crucial role in fostering positive relationships between employees and the organization itself. No? So this involves part of the employee relations is handling conflict. Now, discuss natin mamaya. Handling conflict, addressing employee concerns, and ensures a healthy work environment. Now, last week, ni-report ni Ma'am Irish, yung company culture, right? Important yung job satisfaction. So, question ko, Sir Eric, ano ba yung mga, I have siguro 2 questions. Ano yung mga common conflicts that are happening in at least in your experience? Ano yung nangyayari in the company? And ano yung mga ibang common concern, yung mga most common lang?
So most common talaga would be attendance, especially for the BPO industry, no? So pag ang employee palaging nalilate, palaging uma-absent, and that can be that is a violation of the code of discipline. So dun pumapasok si HR based dun sa endorsement ni supervisor na etong si employee palagi nalilate, palagi na absent. So diyan ngayon pumapasok yung tinatawag natin disciplinary management, where yung tinatawag na twin notice rule apply. Ito mga mga labor law requirements to, where we provide the notice for the employee to explain bakit siya na-delete or bakit siya palaging absent. And then also dito pumapasok ngayon yung mga administrative tasks, yung admin hearing, tapos syempre yung second notice naman, yung notice of decision. Dito tayo magde-decide whether the employee merits another chance, or sadly minsan ito rin yung nagiging reason why we're notifying the employee that his employment is ended right there and then.
So yun yung NTE, di ba, na tinatawag?
Yes.
NTE or NPD, which is Notice of Decision. Now, after that, apart from the other responsibilities, meron ding legality. HRM also deals with the legalities of the government. So this is the compliance with, of course, the labor law or the employment law. So HRM ensures that the organization complies with labor laws, regulations, and industry standards. So this includes issues related to workplace safety, yung equal employment opportunity na we mentioned a while ago, no, in the application process, nobody can be discriminated. Otherwise, they can file a lawsuit, I guess. And of course, yung fair labor practices. So, my question is, ano po yung mga common compliances that a company has to abide by?
Siyempre, yung kanina yung sinabi ko, yung twin notice rule pagdating sa disciplinary management. Ibig lang sabihin nun, we cannot just fire the employee without due process. So, importante yun, yung notice to explain and then notice of decision. Another important thing then, that it's very important that all the organization needs to comply is that once the employee has been off-boarded or separated, kailangan yung exit clearance nila at full and final pay nila maibigay ni company within 30 days. Or else, pwede tayong ireklamo sa DOLE.
Okay, so apart from the labor laws, another responsibility of HRM is the Human Resources Information System. So, they also need to be adept at technology, I guess. So, HRIS is a tool that helps facilitate HRM activities. So, HRIS helps in the management of employee data. So, it helps automate routine tasks and generate reports for informed decision making. So I guess lahat nung yung previously yung mga conflicts o mga concerns, I guess na andito sa HRIS. So let's understand more ano po ba yung HRIS. So ano po ba yung HRIS?
So HRIS in a nutshell is a database of all the employees with their personal data, performance data, so kung ano yung mga nagiging score nila every month, and also yung history mismo ni employee. Nandito din natin makikita kung ano yung mga naging violations niya, at also hindi lang dyan natatapos ang HRIS, pati yung reason for the employee leaving the organization, dinodocument din dito. Kasi data is very important in terms of managing your workforce, para din alam din ni recruitment yung forecasting when it comes to attrition at kailan ba uli sila mag-hire. It's very also important to note din na usually when it comes to attrition, parang seasonal yan eh. Pagkatapos ng 13th month pay, Q1 of the following year, mataas ang attrition. So, based on the data, malalaman na ni recruitment, kailangan na nating mag-hire kasi matatapos na yung December, magja-January na, marami na naman magre-resign. So, very important talaga ang HRIS as a tool for the organization to manage their workforce. Kaya, minsan, dati, Back in the days, Excel lang okay na, pero ngayon there are a lot of tools and software that a company can purchase. Mga popular software now or platform now would be Workday and also SAP. So yun lang.
Ay, bakit po marami nagre-resign kapag you said January po? After Christmas to, no? Bakit? Why is it ba't marami pong nagre-resign?
Kasi usually yung mga employee, no, especially sa BPO, may mga, sabihin na natin, mga pasaway na employee na hinihintay lang nila yung 13th month pay nila, and then pag nakuha nila, nagre-resign na. Kaya based on historical data sa settings lang ng sa BPO setting lang, ang pinakamataas na attrition count usually happens right after the release of 13th month pay. So mga January to February and March.
So iniisahan nila yung company.
Yeah, sadly, ganun talaga. Common talaga yon. Kaya one thing din naman that I can proudly say that, you know, HR in the BPO, in the BPO, mga matatatag to, at saka alam na nila, expected na to. Kaya prior to Q1, marami na kaming mga initiative, or si organization, marami ng initiative na ginagawa to mitigate attrition. So mamaya pwede natin i-discuss yun.
So I guess that brings us to strategic planning.
Yes, that's correct.
So yung strategic planning, like you mentioned, no, you are sort of expecting by the year end or the first month of the year or Q1 that you said, na mag-hire na kayo uli kasi expected, I guess prior to December, expected nyo na maraming magre-resign by the end of the year.
Yes, kaya November pa lang, minsan October pa lang, nagpe-prepare na si recruitment. Nagbi-build na sila ng sources nila, ng pool nila, applicant pool nila, para pagdating ng January, marami mang umalis, meron ng kapalit.
I see. So strategic planning is an integral part of the HRM because it innovates and plans new processes to holistically improve the organization's overall performance. So part of the strategic planning is probably, like mentioned, no, anticipating these kinds of situation because it's very common, no? So it aligns with HR strategies with overall business goals, ensuring that the workforce contributes effectively to the achievement of organizational objectives. Okay, so another planning process that they do is the succession planning. So HRM involves identifying and developing employees with the potential to take on key leadership positions in the future. And probably hindi lang key leadership positions, no? Because I think, tama po ba, yung succession planning is connected to what the situation you mentioned a while ago na maraming nagre-resign. Kasi
Right.
Sino papalit?
Right. So, it's also very important na talagang maayos ang HRIS system ng isang organization, kasi sabi ko nga, kung maraming mga alis ng January, si recruitment makakapag-plan na. So kung may 50 employees na alis by January, bago pa sila umalis, meron ng kapalit para hindi ma-disrupt din yung operations, yung financial aspect ni company. Kumbaga tuloy pa rin ang trabaho.
Yeah, so parang part of the succession planning is, it ensures a pipeline of talent to
Right.
fill critical roles within the organization. So I would suppose connected to dun sa mga hindi na tanggap sa application process, tama?
Right.
Sila yung pumapalit.
Sila din ang nagiging pool namin para maghanap ng mga kapalit. Sabi ko nga, a no now doesn't mean a no forever.
I see. So, in summation, guys, effective HRM is crucial for any organization success, as we see, no? These are from the key responsibilities, no? Because they ensure that the right people, again, are in the right position, as well as, of course, maintaining a healthy work environment in general. And HRM is the division that is equipped with the necessary skills. Nobody can do it but the HRM. And of course, motivation to contribute to the achievement of course, the company's strategic objective. So, it is a dynamic and evolving field that responds to changes in the business environment and the needs of the workforce. Now, this brings us to human resources development. So, HRD, on the other hand, is focused on enhancing the skills, knowledge, and capabilities of employees to improve their performance and contribute to the overall development of the organization. So pretty much what this says is aftercare, right? What happens to the employees, meaning you're already in the company. So what is it that you still need to enhance the skill to be able to cope with probably company changes, no, or company requirements sometimes, right? Kasi may pagbabago yung organization, kailangan pati yung skills nag-upskill tayo, di ba, as we say. So it encompasses activities such as training and development, career development, and employee education. So meron parang continuing education for the employees as well, which is very nice, by the way. So HRD is more future-oriented and strategic, like I mentioned in the beginning, no? HRM is more current and at present, while HRD looks towards the future, right? Very forward-thinking, because they aim to create a learning culture within the organization, so that of course para makapag-adapt to, like I said, changing work requirements and environments, especially with technology, kasi mabilis ang technology sometimes, right? And they have to update that, like yung what was mentioned a while ago, the HRIS. So sometimes merong bagong software. Of course, the HRM also needs to understand paano ba ino-operate to, right? Or what, merong bagong, say for example, may bagong equipment, right? Especially for production industries, right? Siyempre, paano i-operate to? Siyempre, kailangan may training, right? So I guess they're the ones who are involved in that. Now, the key responsibilities of HRD is first and foremost training and development. So the purpose is or the initiative is to design a program that improves the employee skills and knowledge. So it's like going back to school, I think. Ensuring that they have the competency. So you need to have the competency, the current competency. You need to perform your current role and contribute to the organizational objective. So this comes in the form of training programs that includes workshops, seminars, e-learning modules, on-the-job training, mentorship, and coaching. So it's like really going back to school. So my question ko, Sir Eric, is kapag nag-train sila, would the job description also change?
Not necessarily, no. Kasi nga, 'di ba, sabi mo kanina, this is more future thinking kasi to, no. So, it's not just developing the agent's skill, the employee skill, but also preparing them for the next role. Kasi isa sa mga initiatives ng company, dapat strong initiative ng company, is yung mga internal promotion rather than hiring someone externally. Bakit hindi tayo mag-develop ng mga employees that can fulfill the need in terms of mga bagong roles? So dito ngayon pumapasok yung mga seminars, for example, leadership development training. So pwede to sa mga rank and file, pa-attendin natin sila para pag dumating ang time na kailangan natin mag-promote ng supervisor, hindi na tayo maghahanap sa labas. Meron na tayong pool where we can actually look at and select someone to be promoted. So magka-connect si training and development and also career development. But sa career development, hindi lang kasi to responsibility ni HR. This is also a responsibility of their supervisor and manager to make sure na hindi lang sila rank and file forever, that in that organization may opportunity silang mag-grow in terms of their career. Kaya hindi lang, it's not just their skill that we're addressing, we're also addressing then yung retention effort ni company to make sure na itong si empleyado mag-grow sa company. Hindi siya mag-resign because sabi ko nga kanina, majority ng reason why employee resigns is because of better opportunity in another company. So why not provide that opportunity internally?
Para siyang in-house. In-house, parang because you're also looking for future leaders, diba? Or HRD is also looking for leaders. So parang in-house hiring, tama po ba?
Right. So dito pumapasok yung promotion. Dalawa kasi, just lang parang quick discussion lang, dalawa yung promotion. Meron tawag tayong lateral promotion or meron naman yung actual promotion where you are promoted to the next level. So, ganyan. Kaya may mga seminars tayo at saka mga training tayo that we offer to our employees. Kaya malaki ding investment dapat si company sa ating training and development team.
So, you mentioned na yung lateral and
Yung actual promotion.
Actual promotion. In your experience ba, are there people or employees who resign because wala silang sense of tenureship or ano tawag doon, they have wala silang growth opportunity sa company, meaning they're stuck in their position when they want to elevate their position. May mga nagre-resign ba because of that?
Yeah, I would have to say this is one of the major reason why employees resign because of lack of career growth. Kaya to mitigate the attrition, kailangan si company maganda din yung offer nila in terms of career growth. Kaya si HR, we have initiatives to ensure then that yung mga rank and files natin, hindi lang sila rank and file forever. Syempre, we want that for our employees, but equally, kailangan si employee din, may drive din to be promoted.
Okay, so that brings us to career development, which I was already mentioned. No? So the objective is, like was mentioned, is to help employees plan and navigate their career paths within the organization. So talking about career growth, kailangan merong career growth, no? I think na-mention din ni Ma'am Irish to, no, in her report last meeting. Kailangan nag-grow ka. I mean, whether you're being promoted or not, kailangan you're still growing. So career development may involve creating individual development plans, offering advancement opportunities and career counseling maybe, and supporting employees in acquiring new skills for future roles. Now, I had a specific experience, guys, with this one when I did a workshop for TELUS. Kasi TELUS has TELUS University, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Meron silang mga courses within the office setting, within the company itself. Meron silang eskwelahan. And then, it's free. I mean, employees can actually apply. Employees can avail of the course, and the way they designed the program is kailangan tapusin mo yung course because it's free. And then they have legitimate certificates. I mean, they hired me specifically for that workshop. I did a design workshop with them for probably 2 months. So it was like an 8-session workshop. It was a workshop, pero it's a certificate. So they gain, napakaganda, they gain other skills that is different, completely different from their current job. And the thing is, yung programs nila has actually nothing to do with their job actually, or even the company itself. And then they are very open to letting the employees fly out of the nest, which is very generous actually. Napaka-generous kasi they don't intend to hold you in the company. Kasi if your career plan is something else, they would actually support you. Di ba napakaganda? I wish companies would have that. Meron po ba kayong gano'n?
Yeah, there's what we call din naman internal career development. Sometimes then the company would partner with universities, not just local but international. Like in my case, when in my previous organization, we partnered with University of California, Irvine, where I took HR HR analytics course with University of California, Irvine, and I was given that certificate. So hindi man ako promoted, but I gained that knowledge that I can apply with my current role. So that's also growth for me.
So parang part din po ba siya ng... So para din siyang part ng succession planning kasi you as an HRM is also being trained to be in a higher position because precisely of the education that you were given, right? Parang leadership development. So just to the defined leadership development aims to identify and nurture individuals with leadership. I just being mentioned a while ago yung University of California, Irvine, di ba? The certificate that you got is precisely what is nurturing your job, I guess. And then leadership development also includes training on leadership skills, decision making, strategic thinking, communication, and emotional intelligence. So I have a question. Lahat ba ng employees who undergo leadership development are actually promoted?
No, sadly, no, not at all. Only a fraction lang siguro are being promoted kasi sabi ko nga, hindi lang naman ito based on what the company wants for you, but also what do you want for yourself. We can offer all the trainings in the world, pero kung ikaw naman, you're not naman eyeing a specific position, so hindi ka rin naman mapopromote. So, ano talaga to? Parang two-way street to. Gugustuhin ni company for you, kailangan gustuhin mo rin ng growth for your career.
So, next is succession planning, which actually is an intersection between the HRM. So, both HRM, so I guess this is where the similarities come in. HRM and HRD both plan for the employees' growth, I guess, and succession, or sinong papalit, I guess, in terms of employment. So, I guess this is where HRD intersects with HRM in terms of the employment, right? Kasi we're talking about succession planning, where who gets to take over a certain role if somebody resigns or somebody retires, and so on and so forth. So they are both in the same planning stage. And then another key responsibility of HRD is performance management. So performance management is precisely and exactly the same as HRM. So again, another intersection between or similarity between HRD and HRM. So we're gonna skip that. So next is learning and development culture. So HRD aims to create a culture that values continuous learning and development. So really, it's like a school, like I mentioned. So the support that it gives includes providing resources, tools, and platforms for employees to engage in self-directed learning and seek opportunities for skill enhancement. Actually, exactly what I mentioned about TELUS University. So, the employee has the opportunity, and of course, they have to decide if they want to learn something else. Or if they rather, as opposed to, I don't know, Sir Eric, ikwento mo or give me an example of meron bang mga development or skill enhancements or any programs that is mandated and versus self-directed?
So sa mandated, for example, I'm a rank and file employee and I want to be promoted as a supervisor, may mga required training courses that we offer to our employees. Ito naman mga self-directed. For example, time management, leadership skills, or coaching skills, kung paano ka tuturuan on how to coach a person in terms of their performance. So ito yung mga parang prerequisite for you to be able to apply should there be an opening for that specific role.
How about mga self-directed learning courses?
So yung mga self-directed learning courses, ito yung mga parang ano na siya merong like sa company namin ngayon, meron kaming magandang LMS. So similar to Telos University, we also have what we call our I5U or I5 University, where employees can just enroll and then take that course at their own pace. But other than that, meron din kaming mga training or seminars not entirely related to their careers. Ito yung part din to ng employee engagement. Like for example, there was this time that I have conducted a makeup workshop, which is also one of the things that I do. So, very successful yun kasi after the training workshop, now the employee can actually they already know how to put on their makeup. Ito naman yung under yung self-branding course ng company. So maraming mga fun workshops din that we also incorporate to their growth kasi kung dumating ang panahon gusto nilang maging makeup artist, they already have the skill for it.
So I guess that leads into the employee engagement. So yung employee engagement, I guess guys, you can imagine, meron din mga mini workshops, no? Part of the engagement is also learning, I guess. Very fun. Ang fun naman nun. So the employee engagement is more likely to be invested in their own development and success of the organization. Now, this involves regular feedback, recognition, and involvement in decision making that contributes to the positive employee experience and foster engagement. So it's not necessarily just for the environment that involves the actual job that you're performing. Meron din silang mga activities that they do, like what Sir Eric mentioned, yung make-up workshop. And then meron parang similar dun sa Telos, no? They did a design, actually it was a styling workshop, interior styling workshop that I did, which is completely diametrically different from what they do. So, what other employee engagements that you execute po that is not related to their job? Ano po yung mga ibang social engagement?
Napakarami. Like in my organization, this happens every month. One of the employee engagements activities that we had a few months ago was cake decoration.
Fun!
Oo, cake decoration. Yung huli naman, we also had a painting workshop where parang similar siya dun sa ano ba yun, sip and go na they paint and at the same time may wine o di may pa-wine din kami sa mga employee. Pero syempre ano yun, sip lang yun ng wine. So, dito ngayon pumapasok yung pagiging creative ni HR na we're not just there to implement rules and regulation but we're also tasked to make sure that the employee stays with us through our employee engagement initiatives.
Gaano ka-important and gaano ka-often do you engage with the employees with these activities?
Now with I5, almost every week we do have engagement activities specific for accounts, no? Hindi lang sa lahat ng employee. Halimbawa for this account, meron kaming pizza day or meron kaming theme day. Ang pinaka-latest activities that we had would be the Halloween celebration or trick or treat where we invite also the kids of our employees to go to the office na merong magician, merong pagbigay ng trick or treat. So it's not just all about work but equally kailangan fun din yung environment ni organization para nga, sabi ko nga, employees would stay with the organization kasi mas mahal ang mag-hire kaysa mag-retain ng employee. Kaya we need to make sure that employee stays with us through these engagement activities.
So another more serious responsibility of HRD is the diversity and inclusion training. I believe before we didn't used to have this kind of training, but now in the new millennium, we actually have this diversity and inclusion training. Not just, I would say, in the corporate, but also in the academic, also may kanyan tayo. So, diversity and inclusion training, it's very important in the context of HRD because diversity and inclusion training is essential for creating workplace that values and leverages diverse perspectives and backgrounds. That this is the world we live in nowadays. We're so diverse. We come from different backgrounds, gender, different cultural backgrounds, beliefs, value systems, and everything. So, it's very important to understand the differences, I guess. So, in this training, it covers topics such as unconscious bias, cultural competence, and inclusive leadership. So, can you give us a more, I guess, exact execution of ano ba nangyayari sa training na to?
Well, hindi lang
Kasi wait, meron din diba na gender sensitivity training?
Yes.
Diba? Kasama din ba dito?
Yes, it's part of that initiative, but it's also important to note that diversity and inclusion is not just limited to training, but this is also there are also activities regarding diversity and inclusion awareness. So katulad halimbawa katulad ng SOGI, yung sex orientation, gender identity and expression. This may not be in a formal training, but there are initiatives that provides awareness to these matters, to these issues. Celebrating diversity and inclusion, katulad ng halimbawa yung ano tawag nito, yung Gay Month. Ayan. So, this is also not a training, but we need to provide awareness to our employees that our organization is very inclusive regardless of your SOGI, regardless of your age, regardless of your social background, even regardless of your degree, graduate ka man or hindi, you can still be part of the organization. And again, it still boils down to ano ba yung skills mo, ano ba yung values mo, ano ba yung behavior mo.
And which brings us to the last two key responsibilities of HRD. One of which is change management. Now, this is the first time I've heard this. Meron palang change management. So, HRD is involved in equipping employees with the skills and mindset to adapt to organizational changes. So, I guess this is from the top down, the change happens sometimes from that point of view. Meaning, sometimes, kunyari, meron silang change from the management or may change the mission vision. Of course, it filters and trickles down to the staff below, the employees below. So that's where the change happen, I suppose, no? So communication is very effective. Communication strategy is very important when this happens. And of course, training programs kasi you're shifting to another state of mind when you're changing. Of course, you need help when that happens kasi otherwise, you're just gonna resign if you're not equipped for the change. So, and for you to be able to navigate the change, you have to be informed and communicated and help you navigate through. So, Sir Eric, ano po ba yung mga initiatives that involves managing change?
So, sabi ko, I really believe that a dynamic organization talaga has greater potential for growth. And to make sure that our employees are equipped to these changes, kailangan talaga we prepare them for future changes in the organization, not just in terms of policies and procedure, but also change in terms of the size of the company. So, sabi ko, connected to dun sa succession planning. So, before we even forecast growth in the company, it's also very important that we prepare our employees for this. For example, sa organization ngayon, which is I5, our projection for 2024 is to double the size of the organization. We're 1,000 employees strong now. The goal for 2024 is to double that size. So ngayon pa lang, yung mga employees namin would undergo trainings already so that pagdating ng panahon that we need 50 supervisors, we don't need to hire again externally. Doon pa lang sa mga employees namin, pwede na kaming maghanap.
So I guess change is good for any company. But apart from that, ano yung mga common changes that normally happens, at least for the companies you worked for? Ano ba yung mga common changes? You mentioned na expansion ng company, no? But ano pa yung mga common changes na nangyayari in a corporate setting?
Siguro sa experience ko as an HR practitioner, yung mga government changes, mga regulation na nababago when it comes to the labor law. So, kung ano yung for example lang to, pag-increase ng basic salary ng mga employee, pag nag-mandate si government na may additional 100 pesos on their basic salary, then we need to be able to implement that to the organization. So, kami mismo sa HR would undergo these seminars to make sure na streamline at smooth yung implementation ng mga regulations ng government.
So parang part din to ng compliance with the labor laws.
Yes, and we also need to be able to inform or educate our employees with these changes. Kaya hindi lang kami HR, but we're also trainers, we're also educators. Kaya kami sa HR, yung trainings namin continuous din. Nagbabago talaga ang landscape ng HR continuously. Kaya kailangan kami
up to date
din kami palagi, correct.
Which brings us to the last key responsibility of HRD. Now, like as you've seen, this is really a training and development sort of agency in a company. So they need to measure. So it's really like a school, like the same way we have rubrics, I guess. So the evaluation and measurement is part of their responsibility. So HRD initiates evaluation to ensure the effectiveness in meeting organizational goals. So meron silang measures when it comes to that. And of course, the key performance indicators, or as was mentioned before, the KRA, what's that?
Key results.
Key results. What's the A? Key results assessment,
Something
I guess.
like that.
So, and of course, the skill acquisition and overall development are used to measure the impact of HRD efforts. So, that doesn't necessarily mean na employee ka, sumisweldo ka, tapos na yun. Kasi nag-aral ka na right? You are also measured. We're also evaluated by our performance. So, in your experience, how do you measure and evaluate employees? What's your tool? Ano yung mga tool na ginagamit?
Okay, not just evaluating and measurement their performance, but we also evaluate and measure the success rate of our initiatives, may it be workshop or training. It's very important that once you have that initiative, the most common measurement tool that we use would be survey. So for all the participants, they would send them link to the survey just lang for us to know if there are areas for improvements para in the future should we conduct the same training and seminar, we already know what to work on.
And that brings us to our summary. So in summary, HRM and HRD are two, like as we've seen, two closely related yet distinct functions within the field of human resources. As mentioned, HRM is at present and current. HRD is more forward-thinking and future-oriented. So HRM deals with the management of personnel and the day-to-day operations of an organization or company, right? While HRD focuses on the development of human capital for the long-term success of the organization. So this is within the company itself. However, both functions are essential for effective human resources management. So with HRM addressing immediate workforce needs in HRD, ensuring the continuous improvement and development and learning, by the way, of the workforce for future challenges. So, the way I see it, Sir Eric, parang merong overlap yung responsibilities ng human resources and human resource management and human resources development. Parang nangyayari ata, human resources sometimes in some companies, I guess, or correct me if I'm wrong, also fulfill some of the human resources development tasks, responsibilities.
Yes,
dami.
That's true. HRM and HRD are actually couples kung iisipin mo. HRM or HR in general will not be successful or will not be able to perform our tasks to ensure that the organization is in a healthy landscape kung hindi namin ma-implement ng mabuti yung managing our employees now and how do we manage them in the future. So talagang ano yan, interconnected yung dalawang initiatives or dalawang aspects na yan. Kaya it's very important talaga na the company invest on strong and efficient human resources team.
So, final question, Sir Eric. What is it that you see or changes or developments in the human resources landscape that's happening right now, and what are the things that you are feeling that's gonna happen in the future when it comes to HRM or HRD?
As we move to not move but currently our workforce is more diverse now, not just with our current employees but also applicants, and there are a lot of initiatives being implemented by the organization. What I am foreseeing is that HR will also diversify into niche role. For example, kami, HR employee relations kami. That department will eventually branch out into different niche role na I also see in other organizations. Like for example, in I5, employee engagement is actually part of our role as HR employee relation. Now we have a specific person who manages employee engagement. Before, compensation and benefits is being handled by HR alone. Now there's a specific organization now that handles compensation benefits. So habang nagiging diverse ang company, mas nagkakaroon ng niche role for the HR umbrella alone. So I'm seeing there's gonna be new roles that are gonna be coming that will eventually evolve from HR, and not just HR but also in organization, kasi nga technology talaga nagbabago. Now, pinakamalaking change ngayon sa technology would be AI. So I'm seeing in other companies that there's also an organization or a specific team that handles artificial intelligence, because it also may pros and cons, but how do we use AI for the organization's benefit. So ang daming magbabago in the future, and that's very exciting actually.
So, thank you po. Thank you, Sir Eric. So, thank you guys for listening to my report. So, here are my references. So, thank you guys for listening, and I hope you've learned something tonight.